Hi guys, it is Kabo coming here live to you from Vito's blog, and tonight I am going to talk to you about my Canopus drum set. This has been coming for a little bit, and just to give you a little bit of a fast forward, particularly my brand new RFM series drum kit. First and foremost, I want to send a special thank you to Shinichi Usada from Canopus Drums, who has been more than gracious and very, very helpful. Shinichi and his staff over at Canopus in Japan are simply amazing, and as you're going to hear me say repeatedly throughout this cast, these are great drums, and it all starts with the people behind Canopus. So first, to Shinichi and crew, I say thank you. Okay, a lot of people have come up to me and they've asked, who is Canopus? And first, just as a point of interest, Canopus is actually, I found out, is the name of a shining star in the southern hemisphere. And in fact, it's the second brightest star in the nighttime sky. That's going to give you a little bit of a fast forward as to how bright and shining these drums are and these instruments are. They're wonderful. So when Canopus came up with the name, or the company name, they wanted to share the good luck of this star, and they wanted to come up with a unique brand and bring happiness to drummers. I think they've accomplished that. So I mentioned at the top that I have an RFM kit. Now you're going to see some pictures we're going to run right now, which are going to show this kit for you. RFM stands for Reinforcement Maple, and it was an idea that Shinichi Usada came up with. It was designed by Canopus's then chief engineer, Takashi Suzuki, and it came out around 2000. The RFM is manufactured in Tokyo, and from what the folks at Canopus tell me, there is no mass production by machine. They use, or they do by hand, much of the drum making process, or they do a lot of it by hand. And at the very least, any part that can influence the sound, such as a bearing edge, they do by hand. That alone is going to tell you you're going to be dealing with a very good drum. Now, if you take a look at these drums, and I will tell you this is a beautiful kit aesthetically. It's a tobacco burst lacquer. That's the color, tobacco burst. You will see that there is across the front, there's a 7x10 tom, rack tom, an 8x12 rack tom, a 9x13 rack tom, and if you could pick it out of the picture, there is a 14x15 floor tom. Additionally, this particular kit is supported by a 6.5x14 snare drum, with die-cast hoops, and finally, last but not least, the killer bass drum, which is the 17-inch by 24-inch bass drum, which has wooden hoops. Now, this particular kit came with chrome lugs. They have options of, in my recollection, is gold for the lugs, but the hardware, as you could see in some of these pictures, is simply beautiful. The toms offer the floating rims, which are just nothing short of magnificent. The drums breathe, the drums vibrate, you get a very nice sound, and I will tell you that what I did, one of the first things I did to try it out, is to try some of the different types of heads out there. And certainly I want to give a plug to our friends at Aquarian Drum Heads, and particularly Chris Brady, for some of their fantastic heads. I've also used the excellent heads made by Evans, and I found that regardless of which head I used, I got a very rich, warm, and full sound from these drums. They're very simple to tune. They stay in tune, which is a nice little feature I thought as well. In addition, the hardware, besides looking terrific, as you could see in some of these pictures, and again, you could see just the beautiful, beautiful grain and the beautiful job in developing that tobacco burst that Canopus achieved, but the hardware is very compatible with other, for example, in this case, a rack system. But the hardware is very compatible with, and very comparable, certainly, to other brands of drums, if you like to play other brands of drums. But the hardware really was a hidden gem I found with Canopus. I knew from talking to players at NAMM and so forth, I knew the drums were very good. And for example, if you've also looked at the vintage wire, which is endorsed by Joe Picaro on behalf of Canopus, you're going to see that, you know, we always knew that they came out with some very good products. The hardware was a surprise to me. The hardware is superior. It's heavy duty. It stays in place. Regardless of whether you're playing jazz or rock, I found that this RFM kit can go either way. And of course, I also knew, and I would also tell any listeners, if you want to hear, and this is again the RFM series, however, Canopus is the maker of the Zelkova snare drum, which they've made since 1985, and that is the hollowed out snare drum. If you ever want to hear a snare drum that will knock your socks off and you're a NAMM, please go to the Canopus booth. So, in sum, I will say that this RFM kit I had was everything that it was billed to be. I will say from playing them live, I did not have any excessive ring or overtones. Miking them was not a problem whatsoever. I used minimal muffling, nothing beyond any minimal muffling that you would normally use on a drum set to get a rich, deep, and warm sound. The other thing I found that was interesting about it was the projection of the drums. If I needed to play the drums harder, I could play them harder, but not excessively harder to get a nice projection. By the same token, if you wanted to lay back a little bit, you still got a nice projection without having an overriding feeling to them. So I found that these drums were, to my surprise, very versatile, regardless of what style you're playing and regardless of whether you're a heavy hitter or a light hitter or really what you're using them for. And I will tell you, a number of people, again, aesthetically, had come up to me and asked me what types of drums these were, how beautiful they were, which in fact they really are. As pretty as they look in the pictures, I can tell you in person they are much, much better looking, and they are beautiful, simply beautiful drums. So all in all, I can't say there was really anything I was disappointed with. The bass drum gives a very, very deep, punchy sound, a very versatile drum. And I would really highly recommend this high-end kit really for even any player. I found that they work very well outside. I did not have any problems with projection, no problems with tuning, certainly no problems with the hardware. Aesthetically, they were an A+. And overall, would I recommend the kit? Absolutely, absolutely. So if you're at NAMM or even Minute and you're looking for a new drum set, please go on the internet, take a look. They come from Japan. They're well worth the wait. Shinichi Usada and crew have really put together a superior product, and I can't recommend it enough. So with that, I'll thank you for your time. Please enjoy the pictures, and by all means, check out the website for Canopus Drums. And this is Cabo from Beto's blog. Thank you.